congratulations on your new book, Lori. You must be thrilled.
I am. I'm pretty excited.
Where did this idea come from? Mr. Beagle Goes to Rabbittown.
Well, I've been working on picture books now for about 5 years. And a few years ago, I remember I was walking through Rabbittown, going somewhere else, and I just thought, Rabbittown, that has to be a picture book someday. And I didn't really have any ideas to go with it. It just slowly came to me. I think it was just before I started working on the book, obviously. I remember telling my kids that when I was a kid, beagles were called rabbit dogs because they were used for hunting rabbits. And then it just started coming together. My name is Lori Doody. I'm a picture book maker, and my new book is Mr. Beagle Goes to Rabbittown. So he moves to Rabbittown, which is a very happy place where everyone knows one another. All the bunnies are friends. And but obviously he's different. And he opens a store, but nobody goes to his store. So he's walking around, and he's trying to, in my mind, I don't have this in the book, but the backstory is that he's trying to figure out how to fit into the neighborhood. And he starts to hear or notice that a lot of bunnies are missing mittens. They've lost their mittens. So he's a beagle. He has a good nose. He can figure out what happened to them. So he starts looking around all of Rabbittown, and he starts noticing that one particular bunny looks a little different, may be wearing different colored mittens. And spoiler alert, he's not actually a bunny. He's a cat. And the cat is Tomcat, who also just moved to Rabbittown. And he was trying to fit in, so he pretended to be a bunny, but he also didn't have any mittens, so he was taking other people's mittens. And then the mitten mystery is solved.
No, you tend to do. All of your books are set in, recognizable St. John's, all your picture books. Why do you do that?
Well, I'm from St. John's, and we have beautiful architecture. It kind of looks like the background for a picture book to me. People work really hard to come up with styles of their backgrounds for their books, but I don't really have to here. I just have to copy what's already there.
I love that about your book, seeing the places I walk by every day represented in a children's book is just gorgeous. Barney and I were chatting about the book, and she said she had talked to somebody else who had just thought it was a beautiful book for our times. She saw the idea of community restorative justice into it, that, nothing terrible happens to the cat and they try to bring a cat back into the community. Did you do that purposefully? Is that what you were meaning to put in that? Or
it was more so to say that Tomcat didn't need to blend in. He could still be himself. And the community would still welcome him. And I think that they would eventually welcome Mr. Beagle too, without him solving a mystery. Sometimes it takes people a little while to become used to something new or somebody new. And eventually everyone comes around, you hope. And it's a little bit of a comment on the term melting pot. I'm not really comfortable with that. It kind of sounds like everyone needs to be homogenized into the same idea, but in this, it tells you, be yourself, do your own thing, and it'll work out okay.
That seems to be a message in a lot of your books. I think I was somebody who grew up moving around a whole lot. So I was always looking for belonging in the new communities, new schools. So, as an adult, the child in me really identifies with all the characters in the book. So why is that theme important to you?
As a child, I was raised by a single mother. So she was a nurse, so she worked long shifts, and she had to put me somewhere. So some days of the week I was at our apartment. Other days of the week I was in Buckmaster Circle at a babysitter's house. And other days of the week I was at my grandparents' house in St. Mary's Bay. So every week I was moving around. And I remember pretty early on deciding not to blend in, but also not stand out. So you just kind of have to get along with everyone. You learn to speak their slang or play their games, but you bring your own games too.
I want to ask a little bit more about your illustration. How would you describe your approach to illustration?
Well, I have a printmaking background, which can look pretty two-dimensional and graphic. So it just keeps happening in the illustrations. Even if I try to make it look more realistic, it still has this kind of folk art style. And in this particular one, it took me a long time to come up with the characters because there's so many different bunnies in children's literature. There's Peter Rabbit. Everyone has that image in their head. There's the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland. There's Max and Ruby, which were favorites of my kids. So I had to come up with my own bunnies and my own Mr. Beagle. So that took a while.
Actually, take me through, I guess, how you came up with Lori Doody's Mr. Beagle bunnies.
It was just a lot of sketching. I was actually looking at my daughter had a pair of pajamas with these bunnies wearing pajamas, and that it kind of went from there. Those were very more stylized than what I did. They were very elongated, cutesy little things. I didn't want too cute, but I wanted them a little quirky. So when you look at the bunnies, sometimes their eyes aren't really pointing in the same direction.
Is there a favorite one that you liked coming up with?
I liked drawing the bunnies with glasses because I wear glasses, and you don't see a lot of children's characters with eyeglasses, but lots of people wear them. Lots of children wear them.
Were there any challenges illustrating the story that you had to solve as you were?
It was very hard drawing these characters knitting. I didn't know where to, because their hands are supposed to be paws, but they're supposed to be hands, and then trying to make it look not like they have 8 digits. That was tricky.
You did a good job. I'm just on that page now, and I'm not. It's not. There's nothing odd about it to me. It's just completely normal. Oddly, now that I think about that challenge, actually, yeah. Is there a favorite illustration in the book?
I do like the end papers as well. I did have a lot of fun with those. Just the different outfits and expressions on the bunnies.
And a lot of times you put little jokes and such. What would you say are some of the jokes you've got in this one?
Well, this one lends itself to a fair number of puns. The actual Rabbittown, which is a real neighborhood in central of St. John's, has a lot of places to get your hair cut. And hair and bunnies lends itself to some puns. So there's a lot of hair salons, and then there's little jokes like someone is playing hopscotch because it's bunnies. And then I have another pretty obscure joke. It's not strictly in Rabbittown. It's just on the edge of it. But there's a dance studio that I went to as a child called Judy Knee Dance Studio. But I turned it into Bunny Knee Dance Studio. Mm-hmm. I would add that part of it is influenced. I don't know if you know about the barbershop, 1949 barbershop. They originally opened in Rabbittown. Now they're in a different location. But one of the owners is from Ghana and the other is from Colombia. And they wanted to open a community barbershop where anyone could go and get their haircuts because the community is becoming more diverse. We do have a lot more people coming to go to the university or to work here. And they wanted to have somewhere that people could go and get different haircuts. If you have African hair, you need a different kind of haircut than if you have Caucasian hair. And so I wanted to, and I did use their old location as one of the illustrations.
And that's the end of the interview. Lori and I chatted over the phone in July about her new book, Mr. Beagle Goes to Rabbittown. I'm Michelle Porter. I work with Running the Goat Books and Broadsides. And this is part of our new Interviews with Authors series. We use old audio recorded for other purposes, and we edit it for you, our listener. I don't know about you, but I love going behind the scenes with authors. Thank you for listening. You can find more at runningthegoat.com.